Hello, welcome back. All right, so I hope this is our last one, last muscle portion. All right, so we are going to look at we finished the facial, the head, the neck, the body, but we still need to talk about the arm and legs. All right, so let's see, share screen here, share. All right, so double check. Yeah, it's recording. Good. So here is the arm. So arm, how do you see it's anterior, posterior? So basically your palms, right? I think we talked about that. The palm, you palm up, that's anterior. This is dorsal, that's back, the, the back of your hand. So that's back. Yeah. So that's anterior. So here showing you the palm. And with this one, I also give you some like reminder, the bones. So we have the humerus, and then you can see that ulnar. Ulnar is very like the primary bone to form the elbow joint because ulnar has olecranon, like a hook to prevent our arm to extend too much. But in the wrist, the radius is a primary one. You can see the radius. This end is much larger than the ulnar, so that is the primary one. So the radius occupied primary from your thumb all the way to your like small finger, but the small finger is close to the ulnar, only a little bit controlled by the ulnar. So that's that. So our muscle is also following these the name of these bones. All right. So is that recording? Okay, clear? All right, good. Just make sure. So the muscle of our arm, this is arm, this portion is arm, this is forearm, this is wrist, this is hand, sorry, hand. So shoulder, you have deltoid, you have biceps, so arm is pretty easy. Just biceps and triceps, so that's pretty easy. This portion right here is triceps, so don't think that it's nothing, but it's just triceps in the back. Biceps here. Then transition into the forearm, you have the brachialis, and here is the uh, pronator teres. So pronator teres is to flip your arm, so you can flip it this way, rotate pronator teres, and then here is the forearm. So forearm, you can see that here is the brachial radialis here, brachial radialis. So that is a primary muscle to attach to the radius, brachial radialis. But this one is not the one to control your hand. Your hand here is a tendon. These tendons are pulled by the muscle in your forearm. So muscle constriction, you pull them down. And so we have multiple tendons connect with the muscle, and when it pull, you cause them to flexion. So these are the flexor muscle. So here we have the flexor. There are some superficial ones, some deeper one, but they all do similar work. It's just different control of different part of your hand or your palm. So you have the flexor carpi, radialis, radius right here. Flexor carpi ulnaris, ulnar. So the terminology is very easy. One side is the radius, the other side is the ulnar. So una, all right, ulnaris. And then deep down here, you also have a palmaris longus to control your palm. So that's your palm, the anterior view. The posterior view, you have the muscle again, and then now it's doing the extension. Yeah. So we don't really have too much flexibility, but you need to pull it back, right? You need to pull it back. So that's the extension. So here is the superficial view. This is triceps. We know that in the back, that's a triceps. All right, so this is posterior view. This one, flexor carpi ulnaris, ulna, right? So the primary bone right here, ulna, is actually going to this direction. So let me show you. Flexor carpi ulnaris. So this is all the way up there and coming down here, right? So flexor carpi ulnaris right here. Flexor carpi ulnaris, right? And then the other one are extensors. So you have this sternum extensor carpi ulnaris, extensor digi minimi, and then here is extensor digitorum. So it's this one. You can see that it has a lot of tendon to go through, right? And this is the extensor retinaculum. This is the band. We have similar thing in the arm. So this one doesn't show it here, but this is another band. I think when we talk about the hand, we will talk about that. And then continue, you have the extensor again. Extensor, see, this is a tendon pretty long all the way down here. Extensor carpi radialis, because this is ulnar, this is radius. Radialis. Longus. Extensor carpi radialis brevis. And then here is the abductor. Abductor is to, leaving away your body, like abductor. Pollius, like abductor, all right. Pollicis longus and extensor pollicis brevis, extensor pollicis longus. Yeah, so the muscle and some of those are repeated here, but we basically take out these extensor digitoris and to show you those bones attached to this bone, that is our kind of like radius, right? Radius, right here. Let me just double check. Yeah, to the smaller finger this side, smaller finger this side is ulnar. Sorry, ulnar. That's right, ulnar. So smaller finger this side, that's the ulnar, ulna. Yeah. So if you take this one out, you can see the deeper portion, abductor pollicis longus, extensor pollicis brevis. I think it's repeated here. Extensor pollicis longus again. And then here is the tendon of the extensor of these muscles here. Extensor carpi radius longus, extensor carpi radius brevis. Their tendon go all the way here. So yeah, so that's the arm and the forearm. And then here is our leg. All right, so leg, this is our leg. So the terminology go with that the top portion of leg, we call it thigh. So thigh, you have the anterior view, lateral view, medial view, posterior view. This one show you the anterior view. So that's the thigh. Then we have the knee, and then we have the calf. Shin is the front shin bone, like tibia, and then ankle, foot, heel, sole, toe. So that is the give you the quick orientation. Now we are looking at the side first. So here is the side. This is anterior view. So this is, we have the very strong muscle here. Here we have femur. So the muscle here are femoris muscle. And we have the primary one is the quadriceps. So it involves three vastus muscle. Here it only show you two, but we actually has three, but we will see that later. So here is the muscle, primary one, the rectus femoralis, femoris, and then vastus lateral. Sure, that's lateral because this is actually medialis. This is our pelvic. So this is our pelvic girdle, and then this is a tendon connecting the anterior superior iliac spine to the pubis tubercle. This tendon ligament. This ligament is called inguinal ligament. So this is more like middle portion of our body. So this is medial right here, medialis, vastus medialis, femoral rectus femoris, vastus lateralis. So that's 3 of these quadriceps muscle. This causes the extension. Their tendon go through the patella to the tibia tuberosity. Yeah, so it's the structure or the strong quadriceps is important to sustain the stability of your knee. Yeah, let's put it that way. So that's the primary one. Then you have the muscle across, like slide through, cut through the front. That is called sartorius right here, sartorius. And then you have the muscle going very lateral side. This is called tensor fascial latae. Kind of give you like marker. If you look at the leg, this is the rectus femoralis. Then this will be lateral. This will be medial. Yeah, give you the size. So you kind of know that when you have the muscle egg, you know which muscle is involved. And then here is the tendon, quadriceps. Here we go, quadriceps. Yeah. And then the lateral side here, the lateral side, you have this muscle, tensor fascialis, tensor fascia latae. It has a tendon. I mentioned about that tendon earlier. This tendon is called iliotibial tract. Some people also call it iliotibial band. So you can see it's pretty long. This tendon go all the way from ilium to the tibia. So basically it's on the side, and it coming from, it even like, it basically just like direct flight. It meets everything in your side. It connect from your hip all the way into your lower leg right here. Yeah, so that tendon is pretty big. It actually connect with multiple muscle too. Yeah, maybe we will see that later. So that's the lateral side, and we're going to the medial. This is a serratorius, and then this one is called iliopsoas. The P doesn't pronounce iliopsoas. And then here is some femoral nerve, femoral nerve, femoral artery, femoral vein. They all go under this ligament. That's the inguinal ligament. And then here you have some muscle to do the adduction. So here, this one is called pectineus right here. And then some smaller muscle here. This one is called adductor longus. And then in the very middle portion is the gracilis. So that is the muscle in the front of the thigh. And then the muscle here, quadriceps. Quadriceps origin are from, we have 4 muscle. Quadrum is 4. We have 3 vastus muscle and one rectus for femoralis. So three vastus muscle, we have vastus lateralis, vastus medialis, and vastus intermedialis. So here we don't see the intermedialis. We have the medialis, we have the lateralis. Intermedialis is underneath your rectus femoralis. And their origin, insertion, they insert into the tibia tuberosity, but their origin are in the femur. So these are the origin in the femur. I think we talk about that in our bone, maybe later. Yes, in our bone. So they all coming from the femur. The rectus femoralis coming from the inferior iliac spine. Yeah. So this kind of remind us about our appendicular skeleton lab. We look at this portion, like femur, like inferior, and we also have the anterior, inferior, anterior, superior iliac spine. So that's the quadriceps, 4 muscle. The quiz question could be that what are the muscle involved in the quadriceps femoralis? And you should know that we have 3 vastus muscle and also rectus femoralis muscle. And all of them will merge together, tendon, like merge together, come over this patella, and then answer into the tibial tuberosity. And their function is for knee extension, like your knee can kick up. Yeah. And so when doctor examine your refraction is to hit on these tendon. When they hit on these tendon, they will suddenly pull, because when you hit on it, it will bend, right? So it pull the quadriceps femoralis, and it will pull, then all the muscle will get pulled. And so muscle will get triggered, then muscle contract. It will cause knee will extension. Knee will extend right here. So lower leg will kick out. And so that's how doctor examine your reflex, that you suddenly pull it by push this ligament downward, then you will pull this tendon all the way down, and then your muscle will reflect by pull it back. When you pull it back, your lower leg kick up. So that's that. The side, if you look at the posterior side, that's your butt, right? So you have the gluteus maxima. In the top here, you have the gluteus media. It doesn't show here. Gluteus medius, right here. Here you go. Gluteus medius. And then in the lateral portion, you have this band again. This is the iliotibial tract, or some people call it iliotibial band. We will appreciate better on this side here. You can see that it actually is a band, right? This tendon is pretty strong, pretty important. Yeah, because there could be injury of the tendon, and it could be somewhere here. You need to know that tendon is the extension from the muscle, so its repair is not as quick as the muscle. Yeah, tendon, joint, they are they can be teared. They can be torn, actually torn. Yeah, and their repair is not as as easy as the muscle. All right, sorry about that. So that's the posterior view of your side. Gluteus maxima, And then further down here, you have the thigh muscle. You see these two major muscles down here. The outer one and the inner one. Let's look at the outer to the inner, like more lateral to more medial. So this is a band, so we know that this is basically is the band right here, or the right here, the band. And so more when we move more medial, the first thing we saw here is pretty easy, is femorals, and it's called biceps right here. So this one, this femoral right here, right here. So this is called biceps femoris. This biceps has same origin, but it's it has a two head, so it's biceps. One is a longer head, one is the shorter head. And so this bicep femoris long head, and so that's biceps. And then further down here, you have the semi thing. First is the semitendinosus. Down here, you have the semimembranosus. So you have two semi stuff, semitendinosus, semimembranosus. And then further down, you will have this very middle portion, that's the gracilis. So that's that. Sartorius is one to cross over the anterior portion of your thigh. So that's the posterior of your thigh. And then we move down into our leg. So this muscle is also called hamstring. So right here, hamstring. Hamstring include biceps femoralis, semimembranous. So, and I was wrong saying that this one origin from here is actually is insertion. When I saying that is that right? So they all insert, they come from the pelvis and they insert into the lower leg. So so they all come from the tibia or fibula. They all come from the pelvis. Sorry, I was losing myself. Sorry about that. So here, hamstring, you have the biceps, semimembranous, nosus, semitendinosus, and the sartorius. So sartorius is only kind of a little bit because it cross in the front. They all origin from your hip, your pelvis, and then going down into your tibia and the fibula, so your lower leg, and so they will cause your knee flexion, hip extension, like hip extension, etc. So those movement, yeah. So that's your hamstring. So that's that. So all coming from your hip bone and all the way down into your lower leg. Here is the lateral view of your thigh. So you can see that here, what we show you here is the lateral view and the medial view. So the lateral view you can see here is the gluteus maxima. Here is the iliac tibia tract or band. Here is the vastus lateral. This one is the rectus femoris. It's go over the patella. Then down here you have the biceps, and then this one is the biceps again. So here is the biceps merged together. and then sartorius in the front, tensor fasciculata latae, and then the medial view, you see that in the butt, you have the gluteus maxima, and then in the front, this is a pubic symphysis. This is the merge of two pubic muscle, two pubic bone joined together. And then here is the rectus femoralis, vastus medial, the sartorius come across to the medial side, and then here is the gracilis, so it's very much in the middle, medial muscle. Here is the adductor. We don't see adductor magnus in the anterior or lateral view because it's all stay in the very medial side, medial adductor magnus, causing the adduction movement of our hip, basically. And so that's that. So that's the lateral view. Now let's look at the lower leg. The lower leg in the back, the back of lower leg showing here. This is gastrocnemius. Yeah, so that's the primary muscle in the back. So let's look. So lower leg, we can see it from the anterior view. We will also look at the other view, look at the anterior, we look at the lateral medial view and the posterior view. So if we look at the anterior view, we can see that the first thing we saw here is the bone. So here is the tibia. So tibia is very much not covered by the muscle. So you can see that tibia tuberosity is a tendon coming up here, and the tibia totally present just underneath our skin. And so you can feel it, you can touch it, you can feel it. The muscle will show, but they all kind of like behind the tibia. But we can still call them like anterior view muscle. So the only muscle that most anterior is the tibia anterior. So it's anterior view, it's associated with tibia. So terminology is very easy. Tibialis anterior. So that's that muscle. And then kind of everything else is more like posterior. For example, this one, this is on the side. So this is still something you can see here. The fibularis longus, this is more like lateral side of our leg. And then remain all these are the back. What else do we have? This is the extensor digitoris. So this one control our dorsiflexion. So our foot can do two flexion. Because it's hard to say that which is the one is our angle because it can go this way or it can go this way. So if we go this way, it kind of like extension, but it's kind of making this angle become smaller because it was originally here and it become here. So it's kind of smaller. So it can be dorsal flexion or plantar. This side is a plantar flexion. And the muscle in the anterior view are doing the dorsiflexion. So here is the digital extensor digitorium longus, dorsiflexion though, and then extensor hallucis longus. Yeah. This one showing the dorsiflexion, the anterior tibia and tibia anterior, tibialis anterior. Yeah, so that's that. And this is bone, tibia, this bone, fibula. And then if we look at the back or the side view, we can see that this is the tibia anterior. This is from the lateral view, tibia anterior. Lateral view, you have the fibularis. You need to know that the fibula is on the side of your lower leg. Tibia is more like a medial. Yeah. So, and so you look at the lateral view, you see the tibialis because this is the big muscle, so you can see that there. But fibula is more like the lateral side. And so fibula longus. Here is the fibula brevis, a smaller muscle. Then you have the extensor digitorum longus, tendon extensor hallucis longus. And then in the more like posterior view, you see this is the gastrocnemius muscle, and underneath that you have the soleus muscle, and then underneath that you have the tibia, this posterior. In the posterior portion, you can see that they all generate this tendon all the way down into your foot. So yeah, and yeah, so that is our lateral view and the medial view of our leg. And here is the posterior view of our leg. So posterior view, basically you see the most superficial muscle are gastrocnemius muscle here. You have this muscle here, gastrocnemius muscle. And then if you open it up, you see the muscle underneath that. That is the soleus muscle. If you take out the soleus muscle, then you see the tibialis posterior muscle. So that is, where is that? Further down here, you see this here, tibialis posteriorlis muscle. So most superficial one is the gastrocnemius muscle. Soleus muscle is underneath that. Then tibialis posterioris muscle is underneath that. So that is the muscle. And then here is associated with the foot bone that we kind of talk about during our lab. Yeah. So and here is another muscle that control our lower leg to rotate, called popliteus muscle. So that's that. And here is this muscle right here. This muscle going from our femur all the way down. This is called the plantaris muscle. So that's everything about the leg. All right, so this one kind of like show you again with another picture, another picture. Yes, another color basically. So showing you the lateral side right here, the lateral side and the medial side. So one thing I want to get your attention is that this lateral side, you have very big like iliotibial band or iliotibial tract, gluteus maxima, tensor. This one is the major muscle for this band. Tensor fascia latae. This one is the iliac crest, gluteus median. All right, so that's that. And then from lateral, you can see the anterior muscle. You have the rectus femoris. You have the vastus lateral. In the back, you have the biceps femoralis, and if you kind of keep on moving into the medial, then you have the semi-group, semi-thing, semi-tendinosus, then semi-membranosus. So that is the side. And then going down here, you have the from lateral view, you have the most anterior one is the tibialis anterior. Then you have the extensor digitalis causing the uh, toe to extend. Yes. So that's that. And then this one down here, you have the perennial tertius muscle. And the side here is the perennius. So this is very much like related to fibula. Perennius longus. And then in the back, the most superficial one is called gastrocnemius. Underneath is the soleus. Yeah. So that's that. If you look at the medial view, you see the very back you have the gluteus maxima. Then this one is the side going from the biceps all the way back is the semi-tendinosus, semi-tendinosus, semi-membranosus. This is gracilis, very middle view. Then the front, you have the sartorius, kind of crossing over. Then vastus medialis, then rectus femoris. Tibia, and then the lateral view, gastrocnemius, soleus. We also mentioned about the tibialis anterior. Down here, you have tibialis posterior. And then here is the flexor digitalis longus. This figure kind of emphasize on our toes extension and flexion. So that's everything. All right, good. We finish it. Yeah. All right. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope this one give you an like a brief. We don't really touch on each muscle's origin, insertion. Try to we mentioned some of those, but we didn't really look into every muscle specifically, how do they function. But at least with a totally about like maybe 3-4 hours of complete lecture, we give an overview of all the muscles in our body, the primary, I won't say all, probably the major muscle. We did talk about some smaller muscle, but the major muscle in our body are all covered. I hope it helps. Let me know if you have any questions, and I see you next time. Bye-bye.